To our class for curriculum development and innovations. In our previous class, we learned about the major stakeholders in the process of curriculum development. We looked at the National Curriculum Development Center, parents, teachers, students, UNEB, the inspectorate, and all the other stakeholders involved. So take up your interest yourself in the role of each of the stakeholders and provide your write-up during your self-guided study time. Today, we are interesting ourselves in Unit 7. Unit 7 explores the structure of curriculum and instruction. And well aware that you are already teachers and you have educational backgrounds, you have an educational background, I therefore will not take too much time trying to explain this particular aspect. However, this is a reminder. We are going to class, and when we are going to class, we need to be aware that there is a curriculum we are moving by, either thematic curriculum or competence-based curriculum or objective-based curriculum. And after that, we now bring it to the level of a syllabus. Primary 7, primary 6, senior 1, senior 5, geography, physics, biology, chemistry. And now when we come to the level of a syllabus, we now want to break it even further into teachable units. And these teachable units will now comprise of the scheme of work. Scheme of work is more or less an architectural plan, the blueprint of how my teaching will be phased in term 1, in the first month, in the second month, in the fourth month. This will be happening. And when we have come to that level of a scheme of work, we can even go further and break it down into an action plan now. And that action plan is the lesson plan. And so as teachers, we need to interest ourselves in why should we do scheme of work? Why should we prepare schemes of work? Why should teachers do lesson plans? Why should we have ourselves ready with these important tools before we go to class? Now, after we have had those advantages, you can now even go further and make sure you have lesson notes. The lesson notes gives you, is now an outline of what will be flowing in your class, the learning experiences. And so, during your own guided, self-guided learning, you need to interest yourself in what are the components of a scheme of work, what are the components of a lesson plan, and now these will vary based on the type of curriculum you are implementing, if thematic, if competence-based, and so you need to consider all those variations. I trust we have been in the teaching profession even for some good time, and this is not news to us. Therefore, during our self-guided time of study, we can interest ourselves in this. Ask yourself qualities of a good lesson. Of course, that should be the lesson you have. And then ask yourself qualities of course, a poor lesson. Trust me, when you go to class, when you're not prepared, learners will tell that today the teacher is wasting our time. Because whereas we assume that these learners know nothing, yes, they have some knowledge they have come with. They know something. And so you have to be prepared yourself, ready to deliver content. And which content is substantial. And that is now when you have your scheme of work, lesson plan, and lesson notes, and you have your instructional materials that you have prepared and sourced, either real or from the environment. So all these come to play when you're going to deliver your class. And away from that, we now interest ourselves in the aspect of Unit 8, which talks about the evaluation of curriculum. And the evaluation is a continuous process. Now, we need to know what value has been added to this learner and what changes have occurred in the life of the learner, in the abilities of the learner, in the learner's competencies. So I will also request you to interest yourself in the benefits of evaluation. Why do you think we should evaluate educational programs? Why do you think we should evaluate a given curriculum? Why do you think we should evaluate a certain program or arrangement? We can have benefits to the nation. We can have benefits to the individuals, in terms of certificates and promotion to the next level. We can have benefits to the teacher in terms of knowing where he didn't do it right and how to improve his methods of teaching. We can have benefits to the school stakeholders, where we hold of course, Thanksgiving and promotions and marketing strategies. Yeah, we can have benefits to the educational managers, the head teachers. The evaluation informs the head teachers of what is exactly happening. And you know what? When results come, people will not ask the name of the independent teachers. They will ask, hey, that school, how many grades? What's the name of the head teacher? So, in a way, it's now the head teacher and the school being brought on the forefront. Away from that, we will also need to abreast ourselves with forms of evaluation. There are various forms of evaluation. Diagnostic. There are various forms of evaluation, including diagnostic. We can have formative evaluation, summative evaluation. We can have an assessment of a closing a project. So all these are forms of evaluation. And therefore, we need to go and read about these particular forms of evaluation. For today, I would like to hint about two, formative and summative evaluation. Summative is at the end of the education experience. After 7 years, you give them PLE, Primary Leaving Examination. Senior 4, UCE, and Senior 5, 6, UACE. They do an exam. That is an evaluation at the end of a program, at the end of a project, at the end of a certain class period. Now, formative is a continuous process where you want to interest yourself in knowing what is happening every other time these learners are involved in your classroom. Say end of end of math exercise, end of week exercise. So you need to tell me and interest yourself in which method is better, either formative or summative. In the competence-based curriculum secondary schools, we prefer the formative assessment, where even the learner's contribution, activities of integration, are part of their whole evaluation process. Away from that, we interest ourselves in the aspect of Unit 9, which talks about curriculum, innovation, and curriculum change. Yes, friends, we have said curriculum must not remain in stone. Curriculum must not remain static and not moving, yet the community needs are changing, yet the employment needs are changing, yet the world is changing. And so we also need to think about how to change and adapt our curriculum to the needs of the job environment, of the community needs, of the learners' needs, which are continuously changing. And so during your own time of reading, you need to interest yourself in why we need a change in curriculum. Of course, there are many reasons: change in technology, change in the landscape, government changes, and many other aspects. And then when we look at now change in curriculum, you also need to interest yourself in which changes are better. Of course, looking at the other unit which you studied during the history of education, the recommendations of the commissions which were before the implementation of the current curriculum that we have. When you look at those recommendations, how far have they been implemented, and to what extent can they be achieved? So all those come to play. Now we need to interest ourselves in the innovation process. If you are initiating an innovation in curriculum, how will you handle it? We also need now to look at the current trending innovations in curriculum. Competence-based curriculum in Uganda and other countries, thematic curriculum in Uganda and other countries, and skill-based curriculum in Uganda and other countries. And so you look at the strengths, weaknesses, and the components of how these curricula are being implemented in those particular countries. And how I wish you also develop a closer look and a scan into the Ugandan situation at secondary level, at advanced level, at primary level, and even at university. Which type of curriculum are we implementing, and how does this meet community needs? And of course, you now go into a look at the strengths and weaknesses of these various aspects or arrangements which we have called different forms of curriculum. A closer look at the competence-based curriculum, which emphasizes competencies and what the learner is able to do. We are trying to see, can this be a better arrangement for Ugandans? Because you look at a graduate who is not able to do anything for themselves. Now, that's why we now say, we have to rethink the way these graduates are being brought on board and are being trained. That's the competence-based curriculum. There are a number of documents I will request you to read about the competence-based curriculum and make your submission. Look at how we are implementing it. You could even go to a number of schools and ask them, what is happening? What can be made better? What is the experience? You could even ask the learners. Some of us are parents. We have learners we can ask, what is happening in the classroom? What are your learning experiences? Yes, you have a lot to learn from learners, from teachers, from other stakeholders about what is happening in our educational institutions. Finally, in a nutshell, we must appreciate the fact that education is a tripolar process, which must have the teachers and content somewhere in one corner. We have the community in one corner, and we have the students who are the recipients of this particular content. All of these should be in harmony, and therefore should play a role in bettering the student and making them important citizens who will live a contributory role in their communities, not having to graduate and then staying home because there is no job. We need to have curriculum which will help these learners be able to create jobs than looking for jobs. We need a curriculum that speaks to the language, to the volume of skills. Can we have skills among our learners improved? Can we have learners who are better? We shall say, yes, somebody trained and went through class from primary one. Because look at a scenario where in agriculture, you give somebody F9 after all the 4 years. What is the implication? He has completely learned nothing all the 4 years. And I am very sure this must not be true. If you gave this person a small garden with maybe seeds of tomatoes, this person will be able to water, stake, and weed, and he's able to apply the agriculture he has studied. And that's why we now need an amalgamation of both the practical and the theoretical bit of it. Otherwise, We need a curriculum that is going to be beneficial to the learner and to the community and should make a learner a changed, actually a positively changed person. Thank you so much. Thank you.